Hey, what's up, guys? It's Frankie here. This is for those of you guys who run a restoration business and you either currently run pay-per-click advertising or want to run pay-per-click advertising. But the challenge is obviously like this stuff is getting hella expensive and it's hard to make it work at scale. So I want to give you guys a couple of strategies in this video that you can actually use to go out and do this in the real world. And for those of you guys who don't know me, by the way, my name's Frankie Finn. I'm the CEO of Get Flood Jobs, and we've been featured in Clean Facts magazine, actually on the cover, Cleaning and Restoration magazine, Restoration and Remediation, and some other cool places. And this is what we do. So let me get into it. This is probably the most unsexy thing to ever say, but it's the truth, is running successful pay-per-click is like Tim Duncan. It's like just boring ass fundamentals done really well. And sometimes people want to make it as something that it is not. And so I'll give you the first fundamental that if you actually want to be able to get jobs, and what we find is in like most markets, anywhere from like $200 to $400 per call per job. And that doesn't mean you're going to close them all, but usually like $800 per book job, more in an expensive city, less in, if you're in, quieter kind of suburban area, but depends on the competition. But the first thing is like you got to show ads to the right people, and the right people come through the right keywords. And I'll give you just one small example of the waste that people have in pay-per-click. Is I search for water damage restoration Atlanta, and this one says affordable retail roofs. Now, like, there may be reasons why people want a roof, but like I searched water damage restoration. So like they're just, for the most part, they're wasting money because like you could actually search for people who are looking for a roof. I'll give you one more. This one right here says at your door. I'm going to actually be a bad guy and click on their ad, even though I don't like doing that because it costs them money. But it says at your door in 60 minutes or less, which is a actually very well written ad. The problem is this word right here, Chicago. Where did I just search? Atlanta, right? So, and I'm actually, by the way, I live full time in Baja, California, in Mexico. So, like, they're not filtering for out of country clicks. So, like, they're paying for a search result from somebody in Mexico in a city, and then they'll turn around and say pay per click didn't work, and we didn't get any jobs from it. But in reality, they're not even showing ads to the right people, right? Like they're just targeting the wrong people. So the first thing you have to nail is the targeting. And I'll tell you why this comes up. It's not because people are stupid or don't know how to run ads. It's because Google makes more money the more they show your ads. And so they took out years, their exact match targeting the way it used to be. And so they throw in a lot of unrelated terms. And so there's a process you have to go through of trimming the fat. And one of those broad match things is they probably typed in water damage restoration and then didn't filter for a word like Atlanta, right? So, or didn't filter for geography, like only show ads to people within 30 miles of me, 50 miles, or however long you're willing to drive to get a restoration job. And so because of this, the ads are being shown to people who could not hire them even if they wanted to. So I wanted to show you the second piece is you actually need a good ad. Now, interestingly enough, this one is a good ad because it gives me a reason to click it, except for the fact that they're just showing it to the wrong people. So like they actually have half of the equation wrong, but because they missed the first part of it, and you'll see like most ads are really not that good. Like they're just really not that good. Quickly, and there's 5 things you can do, by the way, to do what I call sexify an ad. And they are basically the 5 reasons people ever click on is time. So you see at your door in 60 minutes or less. Identity is like, who is it actually for? Money, do you make or save them some money? Energy, is it like easy to work with you, or your reputation, right? So if you got 100 5-star reviews, flaunt it, right? Or if you got like you're the fastest in it, or if you do a specific type of work that like you're known for, like advertise that kind of thing specifically. But for the most part, like everybody's kind of saying the same thing. Like a lot of these ads just say that we exist. Water damage restoration, call for free quote. Like that's a very, very weak ad. They may be a great company and they may be a great service, but understand this is somebody's very first impression of you, and they don't know anything else about you except for what is showing in this ad. So let's see if we can find another good one. Hopefully we can, but like it doesn't always work out that way. Let me see. Sponsor water damage restoration, Atlanta. For the most part, like again, here, like with over 35 years experience, fire damage. Again, they're not targeting the right keyword, but the ad itself is actually pretty good. So if they put those 2 pieces together and put that in front of people with fire damage, it would actually work out really, really well. Probably with 35 years experience, that's a reason to click them. But So those are the reasons people are going to click. Now the next thing is, and this is like again one of those make or break details, like where do you actually send them to? So these are some of the pages that I opened up randomly, and I'll tell you the things that like the two biggest things that drive conversion, and they're both kind of like under one umbrella, which is proof. The more you can show reviews and before and after of your work, like the easier it's going to be for you to get work. So for example, this is actually a good section on their website. It's not one of the two biggest things that drives conversion, but it's one of those things that can be an objection, which is, do you handle my kind of insurance? So the more you can say like, hey, basically we work with all, the main carriers and more than likely your cause, they're going to work with you. And so this is actually the strongest part of this website is the element of proof. Although I don't know why they would show a 4 and a 5-star out of review when they're only showing 3 on there, as well as, like these kind of like logos that show like, hey, we're the real deal. So let me show you a couple other websites, and you're going to see like a lot of people do this badly. So like I search water damage. I did not search anything else, and I'm landing on excavation. Like immediately, if I'm a consumer, I'm going to just do this. I'm just going to leave because I didn't search excavation. Like that doesn't make restoring your home after disaster strikes, water damage restoration. So this is a good start. Don't let water damage take over your home. Though again, like instead of like writing a novel here and trying to do it with words, this is the stuff that actually helps it, is like seeing the jobs being cleaned, seeing the mold being cleaned up, like those kind of things. So there are some good elements on this page. It's probably one of the better ones, actually. Superior water damage from Dallas Fort Worth. And again, like giving them reasons why they can click on you and the different things you can help. But again, this one is for the most part, like this is just a we exist. I call this a glorified business card. It's like, it's a nice looking website. It's not bad, but it's talking purely from a sales message. It's basically just company name, phone number, contact info, right? Like we want to give them reasons why they would want to work with us specifically. We'll be there 24/7. Like again, this part right here, having a built-in form where they can contact you and get like a real human to talk to right away is a good thing. That again, this is like another weak page. I don't know how we ended up on this one twice. This one we got on twice. Mars, I must have duplicate. So here's another one. Like a lot of the ServPro franchises, like even though ServPro is a name, and so you get to see the trucks. Like again, the visuals are doing the converting. You get the sense that they're organized. They do this, but like this landing page is actually really, really weak. It's just a boring wall of text with links to pages, and there's no real call to action. Like if imagine I'm on a phone and I'm looking for the phone number, it's actually not that easy to find. Like I have questions, call us here, but it's not like it's super easy to find. So I'd call this one like 5 out of 10. I'm not saying it's terrible. This is another ServPro franchise owner, but point being, like the landing page is the most important thing. And if you want people to convert, proof. Just think about that one element. So here's like proof. I can see this guy. Like it already gives me a sense of what it's like to work with him. This is actually a proof element. Is you pictures of your crew. What you do. Again, like reviews. Again, I can see a picture that says believe it or not, more of this is done visually than with words. Like when I see these excellent reviews, I may not even read them all, right? But I can click on these and scroll through them. Like that alone makes this a better landing page than all the rest of them that we've looked at combined. And let's just see if we can find, no hidden costs, no upselling ever. That's a good start. Cover my carriers. But again, this one's lacking in the proof element as well. Inspector roofing. Like, again, these guys probably do good restoration work, but as soon as I see roofing, like I'm confused. Right. So like that wouldn't be the page I would send them to. Get 24/7 restoration help. Call now. We cover all major carriers. So I've beaten up the landing page to death. There was one more thing I wrote down. Is not enough people understand the process. And it is, and I want to give you guys a tip for whether you do this with us or on your own. Is one of the simplest things you can do is like one of these sites right here had a list of, I guess they had we have contractors in all states, but a lot of the sites, what you'll see is like list of areas that they cover. So let me just see this one right here. Navigate service area. Is you can combine like water damage restoration with all the little areas that you cover. Like for example, you're in Dallas, but you may cover like 30 different little suburbs, right? Or 40 different suburbs. And each of those is a keyword variation. So what we found is that sometimes going after Dallas directly may be really expensive, but going after like the little suburb like Plano or something like that can be 10 times cheaper. And even though you can't get all the traffic from that little suburb, if you combine 20, 30, 40, 50 of them, together they make up just as much traffic as if you had gone after Dallas directly, but sometimes it's half the cost or even less than half the cost. And you can make pay-per-click work. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the process of optimizing ad. I want you guys to think about this as trimming the fat. Google is trying to basically move their advertising platform, and Facebook's doing the same, where they want to create basically like, give us your credit card, we'll automatically create ads, we'll decide who to show the ads to, and you have no control over it. And the way they make their money, the problem with that is the way they make their money is showing ads to more people. It doesn't matter if they're qualified or whatever. And so there's always a process where you have to kind of go against the grain and trim the fat. And so even if like sometimes we have this where I have a client where we've run the same campaign in 20 different markets, and we still have to trim the fat because like say we're running this in 40 or 50 different suburbs. For whatever reason, we may find like, hey, we don't get good leads from 5 of those suburbs. So let's trim those down. And what happens is our cost goes down 20%, but the ads still perform exactly the same. So it's a process of like continually optimizing. There's also a thing called split testing that no matter what you do, you're never operating in a vacuum, right? Like if I say, hey, we're 24/7 or we have 35 years experience, it might work different in one geography than if I run my ad right next to him and it says I have 35 years experience. By the way, just mention like another person not targeting correctly, because Google's ad platform is kind of confusing. But this is a painting contractor bidding on restoration keywords, so like he can't convert that click no matter what. And if I accidentally click it with my thumb, I'm gonna it'll cost him money that he'll never be able to recoup. But if I say with 35 years experience and it's right next to another person who says 35 years, it's going to work less than if I do that in a market that's not. So you still have to test variations of things. And so like it's a process of like giving people A or B choice and then trimming the fat. Okay, B works better. Okay, let's try another variation. And it's a process of continuous improvement. A lot of times people think you just launch the ads and you'll immediately start getting phone calls and become an overnight millionaire. And sometimes that happens, especially, we have clients that have a good starting place. They have good reviews. They have good crew of guys. And so we have lots of proof elements we can incorporate. And so sometimes the phone rings day one, but lots of times there's more just like trimming the fat. Like maybe in your market, like people respond more to like, we're going to get there fast. And in another market, they respond more to like reputation. We have 100+ reviews. So you have to try those things. And so a good part of the process is not just putting up the ads, but it is optimizing and making little tweaks and making continuous improvements over time. And as I said, eliminating the stuff that's not working. Sometimes you'll start with 50 keywords, and then even though those keywords have worked exactly for somebody else, it doesn't really matter how they've worked for somebody else. If we find like, hey, 30 of these keywords are working just fine, just like we expected, but 20 of them aren't, well, we'll turn those keywords off. And now all of a sudden, like a huge part of your cost goes down. And yet the ads are performing just as well, right? So all of a sudden it starts hitting those target numbers. So I find that like, the reason I say that is not enough people just have patience with the process. They think about it as very binary. I'm going to post an ad. It either works or it doesn't. And in reality, it's like a refinement of the machine over time till you trim the fat, till you have something like this ad to this keyword to this people just works over and over and over. We're going to run it. And you eventually do get to a place after like 2-3 months where you have ads that you can just run kind of essentially forever. But it almost never starts out that way because there's always nuances of your city and what everybody else is saying and how often they've seen that landing page. Are there 10 other ServPro franchises or not, right? So there's little variations in that. And the only way to know is to put it out there and then like continuously refine. And I don't think enough people understand that. Because I can't tell you the number of people I've spoken with who say, I tried ads for 3 weeks and all it did was cost me money and they didn't refine it. And it's like, almost never does it work right out of the gate where you can like immediately be profitable day one. It's in the refinement process, which is why it's an investment that you shouldn't do if you don't really have if you don't have a few $1,000s you can afford to like kind of almost gamble in the beginning because you will lose before you make money, especially if you do it on your own and you're not starting with working ads and landing pages like someone like myself might create for you. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. But those 4 things I wanted to mention: the targeting sounds basic, but man, like right here, we got tons of examples of like painters making mistakes with it, having good ads, having good landing pages, and then optimizing over time. Most of the actual winning process is in the optimization. And by the way, if you guys are interested in getting help with this, I'd love to put together a quote for you. So one of the things we do, you can go to getfloodjobs.com and check out our handy work. And we do pay-per-click and SEO and artificial intelligence and cool content for you guys to become top restoration company in your industry. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can see examples of our work, what we got our pricing and everything like that all up front on the site. That's all I got for you guys in this video. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe.